This week I've been working on a more traditional update. So we have got some new variables in output. We got some amazing new features on the input. Gonna be quite honest, it takes some polishing, that one. It's the yoke. So we can use the aileron elevator up and down. Those are the ones, right? Going up and down, something like that. In there, so you can start to create your own yoke and control the plane with that. So that's something we're going to be focusing on this video. Just a little demo on what's capable and where we want to go with it. I've got some amazing ideas on performance increasing things from the community, on the Flight Sim forums and on the Discord. So if you want to join the Discord and hang out with a cool group of people, check out the link in the description down below. And those ideas still need some time to work out because it's quite a big project to implement a quite drastic change from what we've got currently. But I believe that it might help out in the long run, so we're just going to do it. I've just set an idea for myself that have input and output on the same Arduino. Now the issue is that with the large set of data that we have and that you can use and send data for speeds, I don't know, send a button command, retrieve the com, send increase com, decrease com. It's quite hard to get that in unison over the board without losing too much performance on either of those fields. So my idea is that my personal preference will stay to have a dedicated input and a dedicated output, just to ensure that data can run freely. We need to improve the outputs as much as possible. The next step will be to create a small set, let's say the comms, and create a dedicated approach to see if I can get one Arduino board to work with the comms in and out. So display the frequency, change the frequency on your Arduino, all from the same board. And then we're going to expand on that further on. So let's say send rudder, retrieve rudder position. I don't know, something like that. Flaps perhaps even, because then you can send the flaps and you can get the position back, white dot saying, indicating at which position you are. So I'm going to be working on a more modular approach in that department, just to make things more bite-sized, so we can tackle one issue, create a radio. You guys can create a radio you like if you want to create a radio, and then we're going to expand into the future to other things that you can create with one Arduino instead of having to use two if you don't want to. My personal preference are two, but perhaps you want to save space. Monetary wise, I don't know. Some Arduino boards can be more expensive than others, so why not utilize them to the fullest, right? And so those are valid arguments that we are exploring and finding ways to implement it in reality. Because it sounds simple, and perhaps it is in some kind of fashion, but in the bigger picture, it can be quite a hassle. Before we're going to take a look at what we've been working on, don't forget to subscribe if you want to keep updated and hit that little bell icon. Really helps the channel out and keeps the content coming. Let's just look at what we have been doing instead of what we are going to do. So we've loaded up in my custom piece of candy. It's a Piper Arrow 3 for Just Flight, and it's available on flightsim.to. So 6 of you, I'm not even sure if it's you guys, but already downloaded this monstrosity. I was sick of all the default looking ones, so I wanted something crazy. So I went with a shark and a beach and some chopped off feet, and it's got everything, and it's available right now with the link in the description. Go check it out. But today, let's start with the things that. So let's start with the update that we've got available. Well, first of all, up above my head, we can see an LCD screen that says 9 out of 38 and 13 out of 38. Now, what does this mean? Well, if we go to the fuel, we'll see that it's 36.42. So you might think to yourself, but Dave, that's not 9 or 13. That's correct, because this is in gallons, and these are liters, the more superior quantity to check something in. But you know, it is what it is. If you want to convert it, you can convert it yourself. It's something like 3.1467. Is it pi? Oh, that's 1 point. Doesn't matter. It's something along those lines at 3.414, etc. to convert from gallon to liters. So that's available right now. Left tank, main tank, aux, center. I'm gonna grab the connector so I can actually show you guys. See this entire tab, completely new, all kinds of fuels, tanker capacity, level is in percentages, quantity is the quantity that's available in gallons, and the capacity is that what's currently in gallons. We also have a small little one that's lost here, that's the parking brake boolean. Speaks for itself. If the parking brake is on, this one will return true or either false. Depending on your logic, you can do something with it. I don't know, turn on the lights. So these are all variables that you can just get from the connector. In the patch notes that I will release in the description, you'll be able to find which function does what. You can just implement them like we've always done. If you don't know how to do this, check out one of my latest articles or videos about lights. I think that's the most basic one to see how you can retrieve data and display it on LED. And from there on out, you can build it out to a TM1637 or a Max 7219. I always get confused if it's 7219 or 7129, but it doesn't matter, either one of the screens. I've got a video about those coming up as well. I love the TM1637 because it's so much easier to use, but that's just me. Takes a bit more pins than the other ones, etc. So it all has downsides, but it's available right now. Now, like I mentioned, we've got a yoke. Today we're going to be looking at how we can use our connector to control the yoke. So for this, we're not going to be using this one because, you know, this one already works out of the box. This one has everything you need. It has a nice sturdy feel. It has a nice finish. Just enough resistance, perhaps a little bit too less on the roll. Do I think it's worth 300 bucks? I'm still torn on that one, and that's because I'm more spoiled from other genres. Let's say a racing sim. In racing sims, you can get a racing steer, you can get pedals, you can get a shifter for the same price that you can get this one. It has force feedback, it will have springs and everything, it will work great. And this one works amazing as well, don't get me wrong. But I'm still in doubt if it's worth the 300 bucks. Would I do it again? If I had the money, yes. Would I recommend people to, you know, save up for this? And I don't know. If you're into flight simming and you love it, this is the only way to go, I guess. So go for it. Curate your own. That's also possible. Because I mentioned we're not going to be using this one. Today we're going to be using this yoke. This is gonna go horribly wrong, but it's all about the science, right? Let's see. Do I have my pedals in? Because that's something I do need. Otherwise we'll never be able to take off. And those are in. Check, check, check. Stop it, start it. Now the only thing that's left is to fire this puppy up, I think. Parking brake is engaged. Why this is happening. Oh. Just a matter of resetting. Okay, that's that way. No, 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 no. Please. Mercy. Okay, once you get the hang of it, it actually becomes quite doable. Oh well. relatively, because this isn't made to be used like this, right? This is just to show you what is possible. I'm actually quite surprised that I expect it to bounce all over the place. And I know this isn't ideal yet, because I think if I throw the wheel around, well, it actually goes quite fine. Fidelity is still an issue, calibrating it. See, sometimes it's a bit jerky. This was actually my first attempt. I expected to crash instantly. So far. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my original review. So, do I think the Alpha Yoke is worth the $300? You know, I've just created a yoke for 32 cents, I guess. So, we got that functionality in. You can use it as for the inputs. Let's take a look on how you're able to do that. Is this the one? Yes. So we got, to control the yoke, we only need one line of code. Well, the back end handles more, of course, but for the front end, so what you guys can see from the library, it's just a one-liner. We need to include the library, like we've always done, the connector, we create an object, and we do serial.begin 11.5.2.0.0. Well, you can change this in the settings of the connector. Just make sure that they match with what is in here and with what you've selected in the connector itself. Well, in the loop, we just do connector.send yoke axes, and then there are a bunch of parameters. Now, what kind of parameters you need? Let's do a new line, connector.send yoke axes. Now, if I hit this in the Arduino IDE to beta, here we go. It will tell me the values that I need to fill in right here. So it first asks for the byte of the elevator pin. So here you give it wherever your potentiometer is connected, where you want to control the elevator pitch width. In my case, that's A0. So you see that this will be A0. So let's just type along so it becomes perhaps more clear. So the Boolean reversed elevator, if we want to reverse this potentiometer, this is just in case that you've mounted it backwards, intentionally, unintentionally, it doesn't matter. If you want to flip the values, you just pass it true. If you don't want to flip the values, you pass it false. So this one will flip it, this one won't. So this will run from 100 to 0, and this will run from 0 to 100. I hope that still makes sense. The aileron pitch, yaw thingy, it's also a byte, so we're going to say A1. In my case, I've got a potentiometer to A1, 0, got one to A1. Once again, it's going to ask, do you want to flip this one? Let's say true, why not? Minimum value, most potentiometers run from 0 to 1023 when you're using an Arduino. That might differ if you use a different board that perhaps has a bigger range, quite possible. Even if you have a physical obstruction, let's say that you've got a frame around your potentiometer, or your yoke is hitting something, stopping it from using its full range. So let's say you can only use 100 till 900. You just change these values accordingly to match the situation that you've created. So that gives you a bit more freedom, and it makes sure that you can use whatever you'd like without having to do something complex. So you could also change this to, I don't know, 100 and this one to 923. What this also will do is, if you got this but you can use the full range, is that 0 to 100 possibly results in negative values. So it maps it on an axis scale, so -1672, etc. So if your value is below that, I'm not quite sure what happens, if it returns 0 or if it returns a value that's lower than the range that's possible. So I'm not quite sure on that one. I need to figure that one out. It doesn't really matter that much. Just go with the one that works for you. So for me, it's 0, and 1023. It's a bit the same like we've done with the throttle, mixture and propeller, but now just for the axis of the yoke. So here you see once again what the names are. So elevator pin, in my case A0, Boolean, do we want to reverse that value? In my case, it's either true or false. Usually it's false. Well, aileron pin for the byte, it's going to be the A1 where it's connected to. Boolean, do you want to reverse that? True or false if you want to flip it. If you don't want to flip it, say false. If you want to flip it, say true. Then we say the minimum value and we say the maximum value. So that's all there is. Then that's all you need to control the yoke, and the backend will handle everything itself. Quick note though, there are already some ways to improve this while I was testing this in the video earlier. So that's coming up in a future release. So stay tuned for that. Okay, we're stable on the ground, so we can do some more quiet and calm. Okay, so currently it works decent. The fidelity and small movements on it still need some work, because I think the current approach, I already have a better one in my mind. It just takes some implementation. This one works for now as is. We're able to tell that there is, I'm not quite sure if it's a sense. It seems like in the end it has a faster turn on the pitch. See what I mean? So there are some things still going on, but all in all, it doesn't jump back and forth what I kind of expected. Okay. I pulled out the potentiometer, but overall, I'm actually quite impressed. Fuel, just to summarize, this is the quantity, so the liters. The capacity is the total, so this one should now match, right? 38, yeah, correct. And the percentage is the level. So in here, fuel, we got capacity, quantity, and level. Capacity, total capacity, quantity, current quantity. Just as a rule of thumb. If you want it in liters, you got to convert it yourself by just multiplying it by 3. Okay, so I was wrong. It's important that you got to admit that in live. So 3.785411178. Something around those lines is 143.845 liters. It's a bit of a rounding error, and that's probably because it comes in as an int. Because in reality, do we really need a half liter accuracy? If you guys do, let me know. I don't need it. I'm fine with a liter based system, so 38 till 0 gallons in this case. When we look at this, can you really tell that it's 30.5 gallons? I don't know. I can't. Perhaps you can. Let me know. So yeah, that's it. That's it in this update. Yoke, axes, fuel gallons, fuel capacity, and of course, I can't emphasize this enough. Pipe arrow, tree, just flight, skin can be used for the amazing price of nothing. I want to give a special thanks to my Patreon supporters, especially Sim Racing for You, for being amazing all this time. Thank you very much. If you're interested, go check out the link in the description down below. If you really want to help me out and you haven't yet, hit that little subscribe button. It's cheesy, but it helps me out. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in the next one.